David Cunliffe.
Thank you. I think now Paula Bennett's got her seat sorted out. She probably could have afforded to stand with the rest of them. I haven't seen Bill English so excited since he got 21% in the time he ran for him. Mr. Speaker, I do want to acknowledge something that he has said that I think is right, which is that it is to New Zealanders that we owe the credit for surviving the Canterbury earthquakes and the global financial crisis. Because we all know that milk and disaster is not an economic strategy. And what New Zealanders are waking up to is the sad realisation that actually there is no there is no plan. This is a government that goes from day to day, muddling through, in the name of political pragmatism, what is actually just reinforcing privilege. And if New Zealanders want a fairer, better, more decent society, that is going to require change. It is going to require the MPs on this side of the House to move to that side of the House so we can implement the changes that New Zealanders want. But, Mr. Speaker, this is the final debate of the year, the adjournment debate, and it is a time to extend the hand of collegiality, if not friendship, across the House. And, sir, I believe that we have a set of policies that will help MPs on all sides. The Māori Party, our retirement policy will help all three of them. Peter Dunn, Labor believes in more transparency for our spying operations, and nobody has done more for that than Peter Dunn. And the ACT Party, our apprenticeships policy, has been widely applauded, and I understand a certain John Key wants an apprenticeship for some young fella in Epsom. We'll see how he goes. And I want to extend the hand of friendship to Stephen Joyce because he and I have something in common. Neither of us want to see Judith Collins as Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, more seriously, I do want to thank the people who keep this place ticking. I'd like to start with the cleaning staff, and in particular Service Workers member Jane Ekurere, who I met yesterday when we announced our $2 an hour minimum wage policy launch. And Site Manager Aaron Milne. You guys, you do a thankless task, but it's greatly appreciated by all of us. Good Lord, there's enough mud thrown around this place. Thank God somebody's cleaning it up. Mr. Speaker, thank you to the messengers, to Heather Daly and her team, and Philippa Henwood from Visitor Services and her team, to the ever-helpful Travel Office, Ros Parry and her team, to Alan Mumford and his team from Buildings and Services, to Peter Andrews and the team at VIP Garage, to Jeanette Schmidt and her team at Security, and of course the Bellamy's and Copperfield staff, including 3.2, and Parliamentary Services General Manager David Stevenson. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank my Chief of Staff, Matt McCartan, and our Whips Office Manager, Emma Williams, and the dedicated and talented team of Labor staff and EAs, out-of-Parliament staff and issues assistants. And I'm sure all parties would want to join together and thank our hard-working staff for allowing us to do the job that we do. Mr. Speaker, the adjournment debate is also a chance to thank those who make Parliament work. It's an opportunity to sum up the issues that have really focused the minds of this House over the last 3 years. You might say growing inequality, a failing economy, and the antidote, Labor's strategy for a high-value economy that puts people first and delivers for homes, jobs and families. But before we get into that, sir, I do think we need to pause for a brief moment to note the tragic state of affairs in Gaza. This is a humanitarian disaster. The Labor Party stands with the international community in its call for an immediate and unconditional ceasefire. Sir, I would note that we have supported the government in its statements, but I want to register our growing concern that the strength of those statements has not kept up with the deterioration of the situation in Gaza. We want to see more resolve and more strength now from New Zealand in pushing hard for an immediate ceasefire. Mr. Speaker, as I said yesterday when I announced our minimum wage policy, rising at $2 to $16.25 in our first year of government, it will put $4,000 a year in the hands of minimum wage workers in this country. And, sir, that will make a huge difference to the 40% of our children who are growing up in poverty even though their parents are working. the working poor, sir, and it's high time that we stopped saying that poverty was only a matter of the unemployed. It is not. 250,000 New Zealanders, sir, will be affected by this wage rise. That's one of the most important things we can do to make this country whole again, and that's just the first round. Sir, make no mistake, work and wages is a major issue for New Zealand, and it joins other significant issues of the day. The transfer of our productive assets from all New Zealanders to just 2% of them. The fact that the government's major attack here on the economy was tax cuts that we couldn't afford for people who didn't need them, sir. Well, they put up GST on everybody else, even though they said they wouldn't. Mr. Speaker, the government's erosion of New Zealanders' privacy by extending the powers of the GCSB, and so many of their actions where they have shown a disregard for the majority of New Zealanders, including, it might be said, the creeping politicisation of the public service and the broader institutions of government, something which is worrying all New Zealanders. The Minister may laugh, but New Zealanders expect a professional public service, not toadies and cronies for people who are acting on behalf of privilege. And Mr. Speaker, hardly a week seems to go by without one of their ministers mired in scandal. What does the Prime Minister do? He shrugs and walks away. If it's not the Conservation Minister bullying environmental advocates to do their statutory duty, it's his Transport Minister ignoring aviation security, or the Minister of Justice forgetting about conflicts of interest involving donations and her husband's directorships, or it's cash for access, or it's interfering in a police investigation for another donor, or it's Mr. Banks resigning over electoral fraud, Mr. Speaker. But that's just the Cabinet. If we cast a little wider, the endless stories of looking after the top few at the expense of everybody else are widespread, like taking off workers to appease an international film company, or bailing out multinational corporations, or subsidising polluters, or throwing millions of dollars of public money at elite golf competitions, failed yacht races, or oil executives' junkets. $250,000 on entertaining oil barons, mining, dining and whining. Well, we've delivered a minimum wage rise to 250,000 New Zealand workers. That is the difference between that side of the House and this. The choice couldn't be clearer, sir. You know what? All that looking after their mates wouldn't be so bad if it was just a bit of excess in an economy where everyone was doing fine, but that is not what is happening. Instead, they're indulging the top few while leaving most New Zealanders behind, like the 46% who haven't had a pay rise, the many more who haven't had enough to meet the increased cost of living, the 260,000 children living in poverty. And that's just the Kiwis who are doing it really tough. What about all the others who are working hard, playing by the rules and just cannot get ahead? The ones who are afraid to open their power bills each month because they don't know how they're going to pay for them, sir. Who are the ones who go out and work a hard day's work every day. They expect not too much, but they expect to be able to get ahead, and at the moment they cannot, sir. So they can't even afford to not to go back to work once their paid parental leave runs out. And they're worried about getting their kids a decent education or worrying about their mortgage rates going up, sir. Those are the people that this election campaign will be about. Those are the people that will decide who gets to govern for the next 3 years. And the government offers them nothing. In fact, it takes it away. It took away their assets. It took away their rights at work. It took away 2.5% through GST. It's run down health funding. And it's run down social housing. And now the Prime Minister is saying that giving the lowest paid Kiwis a modest pay rise is, quote, really frightening. Like fairness and decency is something to be scared of. Well, Labor rejects that view. We have a plan to build New Zealand businesses up and grow the economy, to be a government that works alongside our businesses and communities to grow wealth and create jobs. Because there's no point in economic growth if it doesn't lead to a fair and decent society. And it's all costed. It's New Zealand can do better, will do better, and we know that we can deliver. The next Labor-led government won't just work for New Zealanders. It will work with them and alongside them. And it will be the aim of making New Zealand the fairest, most decent society in the world, a place where everyone has a good job, a good roof over their head, and opportunities for their family to get ahead with them. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker.
Materia today.
Mr. Speaker, I love Aotearoa.